welcome to the next episode of the Cancer Cure Me podcast. I'm Russell Pete, your host. Today, I've got a good friend of mine on to share an incredible story that you guys are going to love. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you my good friend I've known for the better part of 20 years, at least 15 years, and let you share his miracle story, and you'll find out why we're calling it a miracle story here in just a second. So welcome to the podcast, the Cancer Cure Me podcast, my good friend Obinna Ndu. Mr. Ndu, welcome to the call, sir.
Hey, Russ, appreciate you, sir.
Hey, man, thanks for being on, and thanks for taking time to share your daughter's incredible story. Guys, as you're going to find out here in just a second, you know, most of the episodes we've done so far, we've actually interviewed the person who's gone through their particular journey. But today, we have the unique opportunity to hear kind of a secondhand story, but certainly firsthand from the father, sharing the story of his daughter, who's now 5 years old, who was just 2 years old when she went through her journey. So, Obi, man, go ahead and just for our listeners, just share yours and your daughter's story, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely, Russ. And hey, Russell, man, thank you for having me on. And brother, it's been an absolute pleasure knowing you for going on 2 decades, man. And I'm grateful for your life. And people will understand why I'm saying that here in a moment. But brother, I love you, love your family, and I love the fact that you're doing this podcast for other families. But yeah, my quick story. My daughter, Miracle. That's why he mentioned that word a minute ago. Her name is Miracle Ndu.
Wow.
My ex-wife and I, we had 7 children between us, and all of them were M names. And Miracle she's the last, so she's bringing up the rear. And we were thinking of a name for her that started with an M as well. We've got the Matthew, Madeline, Michael, all of those M names. And she was diagnosed with Down syndrome while she was still in her mother's womb. And you know that made us a little nervous because we have 6 other beautiful 100% healthy children, no complication whatsoever on any level. And so that was an interesting intro to her before we even figured out her name. So we said, man, this little girl, she's going to be different. So we decided to go with Miracle because we looked at her as she's going to be a walking miracle.
Right.
And so she was born. Oh my gosh, brother. I had no idea what was coming, you know? And so she was born, you know, as soon as she came out of the womb, I looked at her face and I'm like, yep, she's got Downs. Because, you know, people with Down syndrome have certain features. And one of them is like their face looks like it's flat a bit and the eyes. And so anyway, we were like, man, that was the first hurdle we had to go over was the Down syndrome hurdle. And, you know, I love America. If you probably can tell by my name, I'm not from here. I'm African born, African raised, but my family left that continent to come here because America is America. It's a beautiful land of opportunity, but there are certain aspects of this American system that are just, you know, I'll be nice. They're in the gray. And so one of them is the medical system. And so when my daughter was born with Downs, you know, we were told it's not genetic. It's one of these things that's random. And, you know, you both have a healthy background. So nothing is wrong. You didn't transfer anything. It just happened. She has an extra chromosome. One of them didn't fall off. That's what Downs is. And so anyway, long story short, what ended up happening was we said, man, we got to just live with this. So we started researching because we knew the American medical system is, you know, again, gray. And so discovered that in India, that Downs had been cured for a very, very long time. We're talking about decades that this has been a non-issue. And so we started doing some research and realized that glyconutrients were at the heart of someone who had Downs, you know, basically reversing it or quieting the extra chromosome. That's what it is, really. It quiets that chromosome. So it takes it out of the equation. So anyway, so we started doing that. My daughter's face rounded out. Her eyes got to be normal. And if you saw her, she has 0 physical ailments from Down syndrome. So at birth, she defeated Downs, okay, in her first year of life. Then most people who have Downs, what happens is they usually have certain complications physically. So she defeated Downs, but her only complication that she went through at about a year and change, roughly 13, 14 months, she had to have open heart surgery because one of her heart canals wasn't connected properly. So here's my little girl before she's 6 months old, defeats Downs. By the time she's about 14 months old, has open heart surgery, which went successfully, by the way. She's 100% functional. She's running, jumping. So she has no issues. And here we go with number 3 hurdle. Now you see her name Miracle, you see it playing in here. And so anyway, here we are now. I'm looking at my daughter one day and her eyes were black. Like it looked like someone gave her a black eye. Like both her eyes, underneath her eyes were like black. And I'm looking, I said, whoa, this was not here last night. What? I'm looking through the sheets. I'm like, who the heck came in this room and beat my baby up? Daddy goes into protection mode. I'm ready to kill somebody, right? Plus it's my daughter. Oh man. Right. So come to find out, we took her to the hospital and they said, your daughter's got leukemia. She's got blood cancer. So now we're like, okay, Goliath had 1 giant, Miracle has 3. Oof. Okay. All right. How are we going to be with this one? I've heard of people with cancer. It never landed in my house. It was in the neighborhood. It was on the street, but it never came into my own doorstep and up to my doorsteps. And so I'm like, man, what do I do with this? It's kind of like a death sentence almost, but I don't even know where to start. So of course I'm trusting the doctors. 6 rounds of chemo. That's what it's supposed to be. And I didn't even know what chemo really was, other than that's what they treat cancer with. I didn't know that they literally kill everything in you, including you almost. And then at the end of the 30 days, they, give you all the nutrients and bring you back to life. So we went through 3 cycles of chemo, 3 rounds of chemo. And so each round, they sit you down and tell you what's going to happen. So we sit down for the 4th round and they say, hey, we're going to introduce to her body a smaller dose of the leukemia. And before the woman even could continue, I stopped her. I said, I'm sorry, what? Did you say the very thing that we came here to get rid of? And you guys have basically almost killed our child 3 months in a row and brought her back to life. You're about to reintroduce the enemy, the weapon, back into the body? I'm sorry. I know I'm not a doctor, but please help me make that make sense. That just does not make sense to me. And so she repeated it. And I said, I'm good. We're good. So we grabbed our daughter and we're like, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. Well, what are you going to do? I don't know, but it's not this. And so it's interesting. Again, America operating in that gray. Well, the hospital decides they want to bring me up on charges. They want to have me, for child endangerment. And I'm killing my daughter. And I'm thinking to myself, you got to be kidding me, right? You're the one who wants to put poison in her body, but you're telling me I'm the one killing her because I'm taking her away from that. Wow. Okay. So that's not what we're here for. So anyway, that happened. And so Russ, at that point, that's when, of course, usually sometimes as Christians, and I hate to say it, but it is the truth, we don't remember God like we should until we are at the end of us and we have no other option. And so I got on my knees with my wife at the time. We started praying. We're both crying. We don't know what to do, but we know we are not doing that gray. And literally, man, that's when you showed up, Russ. You popped in my mind. I actually called one of my friends that you and I have in common, Mr. Gary. And he's like, yeah, man, call Russ. And I said, oh, man, Russ did defeat cancer. And matter of fact, I remember seeing Russ after that on Facebook and different places. I'm like, Russ lost weight. Russ looks sexy. Like wherever he went, they did a great job, man. I called you, brother, and I'm like, please, man, tell me you about to be my Black Moses. You about to bring us to the promised land. And so anyway, brother. So that's when you introduced us to the Rubio Cancer Clinic and out in Mexico. And, wife and I had to make a decision at the time. And I decided that I'm going to be the one. I'll take her because I didn't want my wife doing that, man, in a foreign country, in a foreign land with foreign people, foreign language, and, trying to help our child in a foreign situation to us, and so I decided to go. We made the trek, flew into San Diego, then walked across the border, got to the clinic, 30 days. In a room, me and my, at the time, 2.5, 3-year-old daughter. And I got to tell you, that 30 days is probably the most profound 30 days of my existence. Something shifted inside of me. You see, it was different when she was going through chemo. And after a day or 2 days or a week or whatever, I would go home to the other kids and go home and take care of some business, or go home and work out, or go home and, hang out with the other children. In other words, I didn't realize that that was therapeutic in a way, because it kind of broke up the monotony. But when I'm in this room in another country, there is no going home in 2 days or in a week. You got to stay here and rough it out. I literally got to walk through every painful 2 a.m. wake up, every wake up at 5 a.m. wheezing and she can hardly breathe and putting her hand out, reaching for me. And I'm wiping my tears and grabbing her hand and holding her and saying, baby, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Miracle, talk to me. Do you hear me? We're in a foreign country. It's not like I could run to Toys R Us real quick and grab something to distract her. So I'm putting her in the tub and I'm splashing water on the walls and I'm doing my best to try to make this thing fun, man. And something shifted inside of me, Russ. And it's interesting, man. A couple of things. One, I have today, my daughter's now 5 and she's been cancer free now for going on 3 years. And that is a tremendous blessing, man. But I look back and my child and we have this bond now from those 30 days that it's so strong. Let me give you an example. Her mom calls me and says, hey, Obi, I need you to tell your child to listen to her mother because she's not listening to me. Now I'm on the phone. She's physically in the same presence with Miracle. And I'll say, baby, yes, daddy, I need you to listen to your mother. Do what she said you should do. Okay, dad. It's a bond that even over a phone, I can get her to do things, to move.
Wow.
Simply because of this 30-day experience. Other little things like, yes, I'm a 47-year-old man, been through a lot of tough things in my life. But there's still times when life hits you with that uppercut that you didn't see coming, and it might even knock me down. And, my little girl will come over and she'll grab both of my cheeks. She'll put one hand on each cheek and, I love you, daddy, and give me a kiss. And I look at her and I say, man, she wasn't even 1 beat downs, wasn't even 2 open heart surgery, barely 3 defeated cancer. Man, let me get up and take care of whatever this little thing is in front of me. You know what I mean? And so, man, she's my inspiration, brother. She makes my back stiffen. And, she just turned 5, And so, yes, brother. So cancer cured me of a lot of things. And it continues to cure me because regardless of what shows up tomorrow, I still have this little girl to look at as my source of inspiration. So she's not just a miracle and a walking miracle. She's a miracle to me in my own personal life.
Man, you just took the words right out of my mouth. I said, not only is she a miracle, what has happened to her, but she is a miracle to you. Man, there's so many guys. For those you listening, our listeners out there, guys. I mean, we've had several good episodes. We've had some good stories that you've heard on this show. But man, this is the first one we've heard of a child, and it probably won't be the last. But man, I always say God had a sense of humor, right? God knew exactly what he was doing when he said, you're going to name this child Miracle before the child was even born. And then it's almost like he said, you said this child is going to, you and your wife said, this is going to be our miracle child because we know we're going to have to deal with this probably for the rest of our life. But then God said, look, this is going to be your miracle child before you guys even knew it. He knew that she was going to beat downs. He knew that she was going to beat her open heart surgery, her heart issue, and she knew that he was going to heal her of her cancer. So that's right. It's so amazing how he puts that stuff together, and we could think that we had somehow we had something to do with it. We absolutely did not. And but so I don't know even where to go with this, Obi. I mean, typically at this part of the interview, I'll ask my guest, hey, so how would you say cancer has cured you? I mean, you basically said it, but anything else you want to say in that realm? Like this whole, going through this cancer journey with my daughter, it wasn't just cancer. I mean, It was cancer, open heart surgery, Downs. I mean, I can see right now we're probably gonna get all kind of comments and people reaching out want to find out about how you guys were able to deal with her Down syndrome. I mean, obviously that you guys aren't surgeons, but I'm curious myself. And you said glyconutrients. Was that
Glyconutrients.
GLYCO hyphen nutrients? Or is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor.
Glyconutrients.
If people want to find out about that, at least they know that's some place to start. And you said that, I'm not mistaken, you said that kind of slows down or mask or
Quiet.
quiets is the word you used, the Down syndrome symptoms. And you said her face, she wouldn't even know it because of the glyconutrients. You would have no idea today that she had Down syndrome. So that's interesting. I mean, I'm curious myself. I know I have friends who have kids with Downs. I don't even know if they know about this stuff. So this wasn't the purpose of the interview, but look at that, guys. You found something new that maybe you'll be able to help someone as a result. But hey, man, we're good. I don't want to belabor the interview, but man, what an amazing story. Anything you want to share just in turn for our listeners out there about what this journey did for you? I mean, you don't have to be repetitive, but anything else you want to share? I mean, just go ahead. I'll let you close out. Last word.
Yeah. I'll say this. I believe that, we all hear it, and, maybe not all of us, but I know I've heard it a lot, and it almost sounds cliche in that, this stuff is happening, whatever the stuff is that's happening in your life, that it's happening for, not to you. It's happening for you, not to you. And I even look at even this podcast. You went through cancer, Russell. And it's interesting. I mentioned the M names. My son is named Junior. His middle name is Moses. That's his M name. And who knew that God was trying to use your cancer to cause you to be a Moses in this cancer realm? Because this podcast is now birthed out of that cancer experience that you had. My daughter is now alive because you had that cancer experience, Russ, because I don't have anyone else in my Rolodex that I would have made that phone call to. So your life, Russell, has become what's the word I want to use here? What's that thing? Beacon. That's right. I was going to say, what's that thing with the boats?
Lighthouse.
The lighthouse. Thank you. It's a lighthouse. Your cancer experience has become a lighthouse to this with this podcast now. Do you know how many people who may not have known a Russell Peden and now listen to this podcast or hear a story, or maybe they didn't. Maybe someone in their family listened to the podcast and they're stuck because of the grade they run into in the American medical system. And they're like, I don't even know who to call. I don't even know where another option is. And now a lifeline gets thrown. So for me, these things happen for us, not to us. My little daughter now, Miracle, man, every room we enter, I call her the mayor because I promise you, we're walking on the sidewalk, even in the car. She's in the back seat waving at the cars at the light next to us. And you should see the drivers waving. I'm like, who are these people waving at me? Oh, they're waving at Miracle. She literally lights up everywhere she goes. And then when we tell people are like, man, she's full of so much joy, so much love. And they're like, well, what's her name? Her name is Miracle. And you should see these people, how they respond. They don't know her cancer story. They don't know anything she's been through. But all the things she's been through have caused her to have this positive light, enthusiasm that she exudes that people pick up on without knowing the story. They don't need to know the story. They just need to see that light.
Yeah.
So it happens for, not to. And her light is shining so bright because of that. So, man, if I had it to do over, honestly, I don't know that I would take cancer away from her, because it's kind of like that computer program where you go to delete the program and it asks you at the end, hey, are you sure? Because if you delete this, it affects that and affects this and affects that. And I'm like, you know what? My computer's not going to work if I delete this one. Nope, keep it.
Yeah. No, man, I couldn't have ended it better, man. You're exactly right. It happened to us. It happens for us. Everything happens for a reason. I say, I don't believe in accidents. I know you don't either. I don't believe and so much coincidences. I believe in what's called fortuitous intersection, which means everything happens for a reason. There's a reason why God gave me cancer. There's a reason why God gave your daughter Downs, heart issues, and cancer. And we just found out, we just discovered together, or you've known for the last 5 years, that it was for a reason. And as a result, you are a better dad, a better husband, a better businessman. And I mean, you don't take no, you don't take bad days. And I mean, it's just amazing, the ripple effect. And God always has a plan. I jokingly say he has a sense of humor, but what that means is he always has a plan. But man, thanks so much for being on, Obi, and sharing your daughter's incredible story. Man, I appreciate our friendship so much. Man, if I don't end this podcast, man, I'm gonna start crying. But I appreciate you so much. Thanks for being on, and look forward to having you back on to share. Just and real quick, this isn't promotion, but I'm always promoted. So if someone wanted to find out more about glyconutrients, or more about your daughter, maybe they wanted to talk to you guys more about your daughter, even interview your daughter, something like that, how would they find you?
Well, my pages are they're under construction right now, but they could either look for me on Facebook, and it's Obinna Ndu, Obinna, and the last name is Ndu, Ndu, Nancy David Umbrella, Ndu. So any of the social media platforms, they can also send me an email, that my first and last name at Ymail. It's Yahoo, like Gmail, but the letter Y. So yeah, social media,
we'll include that stuff. We'll include that stuff in the show notes in this description, so anybody can reach out to you. I just be prepared, man. As this podcast continues to grow, be prepared as people hear this incredible story. I can see tons of people reaching out to you saying, "Hey, glyconutrients," and maybe you'll do a whole video or live or something about it, so people can find out about it. Because man, that's another reason why this podcast is designed. It wasn't designed to talk about anything other than inspirational stories like the one you just shared about your daughter, but someone else is going to be impacted. Maybe they say, you know what, we have been pumping our head against the wall. The doctors keep telling us there's nothing else that we can do. We have to deal with this. And you may have just relieved 10 years of stress from a family's life by just sharing what you shared, because I had no idea till you shared that with me earlier, what you guys had done for her. I didn't know that she had looked at Down syndrome, but man, what an incredible part. So we'll keep all that information in the show notes, guys, so you can click it and reach out to Obi and find out more about it. And maybe at that point, he'll get me some more information that we can also update the show notes with a link or podcast, or an article or video or something like that. But man, thanks so much for being on. I'm going to go ahead and call this one a wrap, and we'll go from there. Thanks for listening, everyone. Be sure to share this episode. If you don't share this episode, something must be wrong with you, because this is an inspirational episode. This is a miracle episode. Episode number 2 with my friend Brooks, who referred me to Rubio. I called him the Miracle Man. I don't know what I'm going to have to entitle this particular interview, because this is truly, maybe that's what I call it, truly a miracle. And that'll be a play on words. Thanks, Obi, for being on. Thanks for your time. And I'll call that a wrap. Thanks.